Good morning, students. Today we will continue our lecture on P block elements. This is the lecture number 2. Okay, so let's start. So today's topic will be group number 15. Okay, as we know from the earlier videos, that is, there are mainly 6 groups in the P block, that is 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18. There are 6 groups in the P block. Okay, although in the class 11 you have already studied group number 13 and 14. So in class 12 we will be studying these 4 groups, 15, 16, 17 and 18. Okay, so let's start group number 15. Okay, so as we know, in the group number 15, which are the elements are present? Nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, Sb, bismuth, antimony and bismuth. Remember, this group number 15 is being named as nitrogen family. Okay, and the elements are being known as nictotide, nicogen and nicotide or nictotide. Okay. So as you've seen, there is arsenic and antimony, bismuth. All of this poisonous element is being present. Okay, so this group can also be called as the family of poisonous element. Okay, as here the arsenic, antimony and bismuth, all the harmful or poisonous elements are present. So group number 15 can also be called as, or also be named as, the family of poisonous element. Okay, so let's see. So the pioneer element of this group is nitrogen. Okay, as we know, the nitrogen is a diatomic gas and with a very low boiling point because it has very weak intermolecular forces. Okay, so nitrogen is the pioneer molecule or pioneer element of this group or group number 15. It is a diatomic gas and it is it has very low boiling point because it has very weak intermolecular forces. Whereas the phosphorus exists mostly as P4. Okay, there are certain allotropes as well in case of phosphorus. Okay, but it has stronger dispersion force than nitrogen. Okay, and the third element is arsenic, which is itself a very harmful to us. Arsenic exhibit a long sheets or extended sheets of covalent bonds. Okay, so long sheets of covalent bonds between the 2 or 3 arsenic or more than 2 arsenic elements. Okay, arsenic atoms. As the long sheet of covalent bonds are there between the arsenic cluster, that is why due to this covalent network, this structure of the arsenic has the high melting point. Because of the covalent cluster type structure or sheet like structure, the arsenic has a high melting point because it is very much stable. So to bake it or to melt it or to melt it, we need more amount of energy. Okay, that is why the arsenic has a high melting point. Okay, similarly antimony also has a covalent network structure, so it will have a high melting point as well. But in case of bismuth, bismuth has metallic bonding. Bismuth has the metallic bonding. So this metallic bonding, due to this metallic bonding, it has the lower melting point than arsenic and antimony. Okay, but you should have a doubt that in certain cases we know that the covalent ionic or metallic bonds are more stronger. Then comes covalent bond. Then comes van der Waals force of attraction. Okay, so the strongest bond, that is the ionic or metallic. The second strongest, then comes the covalent bond. But here we have seen that arsenic and antimony, although they are having a covalent bond, but they have the more stable. They are more stable rather than the bismuth, which has the ionic bond or metallic bond. But here you have to remember that bismuth only have the ionic bond, whereas the antimony and arsenic, they have the covalent cluster or sheets like covalent bonded sheets. Okay, this is a more compound or more compact structure, that is the covalent cluster. Okay, as there is a covalent cluster is there or covalent bonded sheets are present, that is more compact. The compounds, that the elements, the arsenic and the antimony structures get more compact. Okay, that is why due to this covalent network structure or covalent cluster, arsenic and antimony will be more stable. That is why we need more energy to melt it. That is why arsenic and antimony will have high melting points rather than the bismuth. Okay, so move to the next topic, that is, I have also been saying that phosphorus has allotropes. It has 3 allotropes. Okay, namely white allotropes, white phosphorus, then red phosphorus, and other is black phosphorus. Okay, only white and red phosphorus are important to our syllabus. Okay, so what happens in case of white phosphorus? The structure is like that. You can draw it like this as well. Okay, so this is the structure of white phosphorus. As you know, the phosphorus P4 is a sp3 hybridized. So it should have a bond angle of 109.28 degree. Okay, but here there is the bond angle is almost 60 degree. So here is a bond stain or angle stain present. So that is why the white phosphorus is very much reactive. It is very much unstable because here the huge bond stain is being present in white phosphorus. That is why it is being very much unstable. That is why it is being reactive, highly reactive. Okay, whereas in case of red phosphorus, the red phosphorus have the almost a similar type of structure, but in the dimer or polymer form. Okay, in the dimer or polymer form, it is also like the white phosphorus, but it has the we can say the red phosphorus is the polymeric form of the white phosphorus. That is why, as it is the polymeric form of white phosphorus, the red phosphorus has less angle strain, and due to that it is more stable than white phosphorus. It is more stable than white phosphorus. That is why it has less reactivity than white phosphorus. So if any questions come that which one is more reactive, white phosphorus or red phosphorus, the answer should be white phosphorus because it has more angle strain and less stability. As it is a less stability, so it will be more reactive in nature. Okay, so that's it, and let's move to the next topic, that is the group 15 reactions. So how can we produce the ammonia? Okay, so ammonia is being produced in manufacturing way or in chemical plants by the Haber process, where N2 plus 3H2 that makes 2NH3. Okay, so this is the name. This reaction is being named as Haber process. And also at the phosphide, calcium phosphide, when reacted with water, it will form phosphine, and this phosphine is pure in nature. It's almost 100% pure. Okay, so when you have to prepare phosphine in 100% purity, this reaction is your main choice. Okay, and how the members of group 15 elements form the halides. Okay, suppose E are the members of the group 15 elements. Okay, so E are the members of the group 15 element except nitrogen. So what are the E? It should be phosphorus, arsenic, antimony and bismuth. Okay, all of this can form EX5. That is when phosphorus is being reacted with chlorine, it will form PCl5. Okay, similarly when bismuth is being reacted with chlorine, it will also form BiCl5. Okay, similarly when phosphorus is being reacted with bromine, it can also be formed PBr5 or Pi5 or okay. So likewise, similarly antimony and arsenic can also form similar kind of form, that is AsCl5 or AsI5. Okay, so similarly antimony and arsenic can also form compounds like that. okay, or halide compound or halide derivative. Okay, so today we have seen the group number 15, some general characteristics from all the compounds, all the elements, that is nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, Sb and bismuth. Okay, as well as we have seen the allotropes of phosphorus, that is the white phosphorus and red phosphorus and the black phosphorus as well. So which one is more stable and more reactive, we have also been discussed this factor as well. Okay, then we have moved to the reactions of group 15 elements. Okay, in the next day we will discuss the oxides and the halides of the group 15 elements. Okay, so that's it for now. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, so thank you very much.